This video and all others like it are copyright James McRarling Curry 2023. To understand what the scofflaws, the UW dialectical in Britain are doing by the maniacal isolation of a deaf person for interrogation challenges, and they cruelly abuse and torture and murder innocent people if I don't answer them, which while masquerading as law enforcement, of course. One needs to look no further than Bilbo Baggins' famous episode in Gollum's confines. Gollum decided to play a riddle game with Bilbo. And Bilbo humored him to buy time to figure out what to do. And it was clear that the only thing that was going to happen if Gollum won was he was going to strangle Bilbo. There was no other motive but to escape on the part of the victim. So, but of course, UW Dialectica cleverly says it's the prey victimizing the victimizer. And magically enough, they have an obsession with the ring, the Midwest symbol of my grandmother's ring, over which they lick each other. So, if I was Bilbo, maybe I'd have just given him back his ring. But see, the thing is, the point is that they see me as having stolen their birthday present. So, I'm stuck with the ordered answer. And it's not an absolutely useful metaphor. Let's get back to reality. They tortured me and are demanding responses, lest they torture me again. They poison me in the mouth. They froze the camera to make clear. Poison me in the mouth. So, let's talk a little about what kind of standard they bring to the table. They claim to be investigating hypocrisies. The standard that they bring to the table is the nursing standard for the RAF. I'll explain it to you. One of the RAF guys very sadly got severely burned. There were a lot of injured people in the mass tent. And some of them were entertaining the nurses despite being lamed, amputees, and so on. But this guy was disfigured hopelessly. The nurse said, tut, 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 he couldn't take it. And so that's the standard of the brain. It's tut, 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 he couldn't take it. But from the other side of their worm forked tongue, they seethe with demands for empathy. So, they need unpaid babysitters. And they're making an explanation for this with two tongues. And I'll explain how the sad situation came about. First of all, it takes a certain amount of imbecility to think that any of these people should be respected. How can anybody fundamentally respect Joseph Biden when he never arrested Joe Burston is beyond me. It's not just personal. It's not just personal, but to deny what was done to me and what I discovered forfeits respect. Totally. I mean, it's beyond the pale what they've done and what I found. But the persistence of malice and evil is often very powerful. And when it's wedded to the very disturbed charisma of a psychotic like Paul McCartney and Roger Waters, it gets even worse. Because at the root of this is child development. We know that children, when they're in a certain age, are quiet because they can't express all that's in their minds. And these remorseless killers knew that too. They made me an obedient child because of the psychotic of madams like Jane Thompson and my mother Nancy Moore, who were going to play for a controlling share in my sexual destiny. A lot of stuff goes on with Jay Inslee sniveling parochials about the legal contour splitting of the first of the seven beauties. But Dee Dee was illegitimately pushed on me as an entrapment, and I was rendered neuro-obedient for the and additionally, paradoxically, she was developed, experienced, and I was undeveloped, prepubescent, and crying for my life, basically. And they manipulated the situation so that they could laugh about it. And they want to be respected. It's absurd. So their idea is sexual slavery, lifelong sexual slavery, and questions about what is bonding. You know, none of this homegirl, homeboy stuff. What is true bonding? That would be recognized by the Church of England and the Russian Orthodox Church. Otherwise, it's Satan. And Frank Zappa's not going to tolerate no Satan unless it's loyal to him. And they have a negligence disaster. Because they said one size fits all, and it just multiplied. And the affected community were pretty serious hooligans hazing each other this way. You know, in prison, you get lucky to be somebody's boy so you don't get raped by the gangs. At least that's how they get you to be somebody's boy, is to scare you that way. The whole point is that Joseph Biden and Trumpy Toon were partners. They were like this in the whole affair. They used Tony Levin and David Bronstein's favorite, Andrea Swimmer, and Neva Corporation, call girl who chased me up a tree. She would catcalling me to take my clothes off. I learned about the initialism system when I took a pee at American Standard. And I noticed AS, and the guy hovering over me looked, and he said, like, because they knew what they were child developing. And Biden says she's the abuse symbol. She's the abuse symbol. And Trumpington says, no, she's degraded. She's degraded. She can't be, maybe even put her down. Not my type. She's a hired actor for a scrim. A scrim of feminazi evaluation plotting is what she was. So the crackhead Gusta Corona, who masquerades as Yoko Ono under that, like, and so she gains legitimacy by having an evil name. It says to open your box and you'll be liberated to a status quo. If I had told Leslie to open her box, I'd be dead by now. She was rubbing her box on my nose. And I said, you're making it sound like I should have. And she was like, why should you get another chance? And Robert Fripp comes, spin her beanie down, jump down, hold pee-pee. That proves rape. That proves rape. Ha, 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 ha. We're going to get you. We're going to stick you with a needle. And they were allied to people who were talking about AIDS before it happened. So you're talking about a very systematic impingement on a developmental deaf person who was a child, deaf, and authoritarianly called by brutal beatings, not to understand, neurohypnotized. We will accept you, we won't accept you, warm or colder, warm or colder. And they bring in this black man, Cornelius West, with a spinner beating on his head. And he says, give it up for this person, or give it up for that person, and we approve you're being bullied and honor-coded into what one of his disciples, Shifty, called sexual access. And they get a conniver from Yoko Ono's camp named Midori Goto to symbolize the Confederacy in fourth dimensional cinematography about justified sexual exchange to the good kind of black. They had Lee Goodkind in his shop care English substitute teacher seducing me. So the black man from the Green Party and his white partner from the Ku Klux Klan could murder my father and say the black man had been wronged. Make up, and of course, the women's line up to say, are you saying they'd rather have you than a black man? Oh, oh. And that just led to a disaster. You know, the nurses are resigning, just like they were in COVID, because it multiplied. They did nothing to intervene to try to save lives. Because Cornel West was all this, give it up for touchy blood biological linkage, compensatory coded pussy ball stuff. They made it illegal, unlawful in the union to protect the at risk, which is they're still at it. I was at risk and tortured and battered through the whole thing, and they're saying, empathy, he can't take it. Empathy, he can't take it. There's a film called Diva, and it has an easy to be hard scene where this guy says, you can have your contradictions alone. She says, I thought you were my friend. Well, this black woman makes off with this white guy, and his closest continuer, as you know from standing next to the birth date and the sign, which is my birthday, in two different scenes identically to one another, is neurosphingalism from the people who put the letters in the kid's mailbag. Diva has a lot of signifiers showing that these progressive, cool Gestapo, the rainbow of insane genocide, the cool Gestapo, who the Japanese women put perfume behind theirs to attract. Are part of an index gate system that has 10, 20, my birthday, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 or more, because they wanted to use abortions. They wanted to, got them off to target with abortions. Get us an abortion. Tell Trumpy Tuna, ROC Corral, there was an abortion. Now and then we'll see French Nazism, in other words. Occult Nazism. Sadomasochism over abortion. This is where Peter Sinfield is coming from. He's the master of this macabre horror. And they give me 1984 as the first 4 digits of my Social Security card. The police children did this, the Ford brothers, who I had to report to the police, and then they said, you never reported these people to the police. So, you can't respect these people. I mean, you can sometimes endure them, but the idea that you can respect them is insane. They want you they want to castrate the white and and making a challenge to draw a comparison between that and Alice Walker's demand that a black man's stump be kissed, because the RAF nurses think that he's alive now that he's a limp, and he can't take it. And we should empathize more. I didn't do anything wrong to deserve any of this. I didn't do a single thing wrong to deserve any of it. They say I'm damaged goods now. That's their mentality. They challenge me in my humanity. Challenge me about my humanity. I've done nothing to deserve having my humanity challenged. Well, it's their turn again. Your turn, Gollum. I mean Shifty. I mean Crow, Cat, Gooster.